Welcome to a world of colorful, fun, and intricate LEGO sets. Welcome to the world of the LEGO Fairground Collection. In this video, I'm going to rank this collection from worst to best. You may or may not remember, but back in 2014, LEGO released set 10244, the Fairground Mixer. It was unknown at the time, but this set started a brand new sub-series called the Fairground Collection. This sub-theme originally fell within the Creator Expert theme, but was eventually carried over to the new Icons theme. Now, these Fairground sets are some of the best LEGO sets and standouts in any collection. Since 2014, we've gotten a new addition to this collection every 1 to 2 years, and none have failed to impress in their scale or build. And for the most part, the building experiences are absolutely great and a treat. However, some can be quite repetitive due to their symmetrical design and overall aesthetic. However, the end product is more than worth it. Wow, what an awesome collection. I'm excited for this one. Let's get right into this list, starting first with an honorable mention. Now, technically, in 2009, LEGO released the Grand Carousel, and as far as I can tell, some databases have it as part of this collection and some don't. It's hard to know exactly what LEGO intended at the time because there's actually a 5-year time gap between 2009 and 2014 when the Fairground Mixer came out. I personally count it as a one-off, and I'm not going to include it in this collection. However, I did want to give it a shout out as an honorable mention, as it is a beautiful set in its own right and highly, and I mean highly collectible on the secondary market. Starting this list off, I have the newest addition to this collection, the Loop Coaster. I may be a little harsher on this set than some in the community, but this is definitely my least favorite. I love roller coasters, and this set is the second one that we've gotten, and that's not a bad thing. Unfortunately, the design falls short for me, and ultimately it comes down to me not being a fan of that elevator lift hill. The elevator lift hill on roller coasters are pretty rare in real life, and of the hundreds of roller coasters I've ridden, only one has had an elevator lift hill. In this case though, this is needed so that the carts can get high enough to produce a fast enough speed to make that double loop, all while taking up as little and kind of small surface area as possible. However, so many pieces actually go into that lift hill, and the only reason that lift hill is actually needed is because there's the double loop. In my mind, a single loop would have been just fine. Now, that's not the end of the world by any means, but when you factor in this set had almost 400 pieces less than the previous roller coaster and a price tag of $30 more, I start to wonder, is the double loop even needed? I mean, yes, a loop is definitely cool and a welcome addition. Don't get me wrong, I think a loop is really cool, but the double loop just feels like too much ambition that requires the actual set to suffer as a result of needing the extra verticality and speed. Unfortunately, the rest of the track layout is just not impressive and honestly a little bit boring. The total ride time is so short due to having to get so much speed to make those loops. Yes, technically this is a really impressive build, but for me, the double loop is overkill and the ride is just too short. Up next, I have the set that started this whole thing, the Fairground Mixer. This set definitely feels aged compared to the other sets, and it's easy to kind of just forget about it. This set also is the only one that can fold up and be stored as kind of this pull trailer for transportation, making it kind of stand out from the rest of the crowd and not necessarily in a good way. This one truly feels like more of a carnival ride, whereas these other ones feel like mainstays at a fairground or even a amusement park. The mixer function does work well though, and if this were to be built into the ground, kind of like the rest of the sets in this collection, I think it could have actually been a little bit higher. I think they could have used a lot of the pieces in this set to actually build up some of the scenery surrounding the ride versus using them on the truck, and for me, this is a great but somewhat forgettable build within this collection. The next ride is the Haunted House. What a beautiful set and a testament of how great this collection is. The Haunted House is chock full of spooky scenes, and it even has references to one of the best old school LEGO themes, Johnny Thunder. However, unlike the other rides on this list, the actual ride and attraction is kind of completely hidden within this set. I would have liked to see a smaller scale haunted house that was more functional for the minifigures and more focused on the actual kind of haunting of the house, kind of like the Monster Hunter's house would have been perfect, and it could have actually been a haunted house ride instead of having a drop tower kind of cramped into the interior and just really forgotten about. Personally, I would have liked to see them do an external drop tower, kind of like the style from Roller Coaster Tycoon, and then they could have done it with a similar kind of color palette of the other Fairground Collection sets. I think that would have really given the actual ride room to shine and been more focused on the ride itself. However, critiques aside, this set is unique and it definitely stands out within the collection. I also think this set just kind of stands out on its own, and it's really good as for some people who just want the haunted house aspect. They just want this kind of giant kind of indoor drop tower. I think that's totally fine. For me though, it just does kind of stand out from the rest of the sets, and on its own, it just doesn't necessarily do anything exceptional to make me put it higher on the list. I will say though that the organ build inside is really quite excellent, and a nice little mini build included with it. The Carousel is a colorful and technically impressive build, and it's up next on the list. The scale felt a little large to me at first, but after spending more time with it, I really think the scale is just fine. I like those gold mirrored stickers kind of on that center column in the middle, and the animal builds provide a nice contrast and a bit of color that kind of pops out on this gorgeous medium blue and tan color scheme. In addition, that bobbing of the carousel animals was a must-have touch, and I really like how the designer was able to capture the jumping movement of the frog. I really have nothing bad to say about this set, other than maybe the small ticket stand on the side could have been a little bit more detailed and larger, but I'm really willing to overlook that because that's just an accessory to this main set that's truly amazing. The Ferris wheel is near perfect in my mind. All of these sets can feel a little repetitive as they are highly detailed, larger scale builds, and the Ferris wheel may be the worst offender on this list. Repetitiveness aside, I really enjoyed the rest of the build, and the end product is near perfect in my mind. I like the color scheme here, and I think it complements the rest of the collection really well. That trans yellow and trans orange accent color over the white just really pops out, and then those green, yellow, and purple gondolas stand out against the rest of the model too in a really kind of interesting and colorful way. I really enjoyed the ramp and the loading function. It's just simply a treat to build and a really cool play function, and I just could sit there using it over and over. One gripe that I have against this set though is that if you plug in the power functions as recommended out of the box after you build it, the wheel moves super fast. Now you can fix that through modding, but you really shouldn't have to, and I wish that they had kind of geared it down a little bit to make it turn at a slower speed out of the box as recommended in the instructions. Otherwise though, this set stands out, and it's one that's really inspired not only other LEGO sets, but even builds from shows like LEGO Masters, so it has to be high on the list in my mind. Lastly, the best Fairground set is the original roller coaster. I am just a sucker for this set. I absolutely love the red track over the white columns, and it gives it that classic wooden roller coaster look. Now, I am totally aware that building those columns can be tedious and repetitive, and this might be the second most tedious build on the list, maybe even the first, but the end product is just so excellent. The chain lift function works great, and those tires are a genius way to actually move the cars around that top bend right before the drop. In addition, that landscape actually offers a lot to the build, more than just being built up on it. That ride queue is really cool and kind of intricate and flows through the ride nicely, and then you've got kind of a shop and attraction on the way to queue to the roller coaster. When I was little, I dreamed of getting a LEGO roller coaster set, and that dream finally came true in 2018, and it did not fail to disappoint. As an adult, I have actually sat there and played with this LEGO set on many occasions. Now, unfortunately, these sets take up so much space that usually I display them for a couple years, and then I end up tearing them down and putting them into storage. And of all the sets on this list, this is the one that stayed up the absolute longest. I had this one set up for years. If I had to pick just one set to have from this list, it would absolutely be this one, and in my mind, this is the best set of the entire Fairground collection, and one of my favorite LEGO sets of all time. Now, that is every Fairground Collection set ranked from worst to best. What is your list? What is your favorite? Was I too harsh on any of these sets? Let me know in the comments section below. What set do you think we'll get next within this collection? Personally, I really hope we get a swinging ship or maybe one of those flying chair rides. I think either of those would be super cool. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and joining in the conversation in the comments section below. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.